Hello, Trailblazers, and welcome to another edition of Entrepreneur Journey. And today, my guest is Michael Yeung. I'm so glad to have Michael on the podcast today because I've been trying to reach out to him for a while now, and we've just now got a chance to put our schedules together because he is in Hong Kong and I am in the United States. So there's a big difference, time difference. So sometimes schedules don't align. So I'm really excited to have him on the show today. How are you today, Michael?
I am doing great, and yeah, with an 11-hour time difference, I'm glad that we finally be able to meet and yeah, just jam.
Awesome. So Michael is founder, performance, and business coach at Productivity and Performance. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, Michael.
Sure. So my background is a little bit weird. I am this kid who grew up in Hong Kong and studied veterinary medicine and lived in the UK for 8 years before moving back last summer. And my business has one focus mission to help entrepreneurs to achieve more with less so that they can build a business that serves their ideal life and their purpose rather than having them become a servant of their own business. So right now, I've been running my business I've been an entrepreneur for around 5, 6 years now. My coaching business is 3 years old. It's been a hell of a ride. And yeah, let's start there. Let's start there.
Yeah. So I always like to get to know our guests a little bit more, not just business and their journey, but just a little bit more personal stuff. So, what book, course, mastermind that have you attended that you feel like has had the most impact in moving your business forward?
There's a ton of books. And when you asked me this question, I really had to think. But if I were to choose, it would be The Essentialist by Greg McKeown. The
Mm,
reason why is because as an entrepreneur to begin with, especially when you're in the online field, there's so many opportunities out there. And when I read the book, my perspective kind of just shifted and did a 180 turn because I then realized we are no longer in the age where information is the bottleneck or the amount of opportunity is a bottleneck. It really comes back down to us being able to discern the vital few from a trivial many. And just that one sentence changed my life because
mm.
that allowed me to go from trying to become productive by seizing every piece of information, consuming, and grabbing every shiny object that lies in the sun, to being able to find the power of focus and prioritization. And I would say, as an entrepreneur with at any stage of growth you're at, this is so important because this single principle saved me from my own burnouts and allowed me to actually, be able to make the most out of my time and my efforts as well as for my clients.
Awesome. Yeah, we all get into being an entrepreneur with this vision of running a business and having this great life, right? And but a lot of times the business starts to own us. So that is why I'm really glad that we're talking to you because you're all about getting out of that grind and loving your business, right? So I'm anxious to explore the questions that we have. My next question for you is: I saw in your profile that you went to veterinary surgeon school. Is that correct?
Yep,
Wow.
I successful. Yep.
So a couple questions on that. Did you ever go into that field? Were you ever a veterinary surgeon?
Yes. So growing up, I just love animals. I love wildlife. I watch shows like the Super Vets, Bear Grylls, National Geographic, Animal Planet growing up, and animals, nature is my passion. And I studied veterinary medicine in the UK and was working full time for 2 years before focusing full time on my business. So my vision as a vet is still alive. I still have a huge passion for this, but along the way, as I gained vision through my personal development journey, which started for me when I moved from Hong Kong to UK as a social anxious kid in 2012, my personal development journey allowed me to seek clarity and gain vision for the first time in my life. And at that moment, it was very clear that I don't want to spend my life working 50 hours a week for the next 30 years of my life in a veterinary practice. Whilst it's a very, very comfortable job, whilst it is a very fulfilling role that a lot of people wish to be in, my vision isn't with that. That's very clear for me, even on a day where I graduated. And right now, my vision is to, well, express my passion, my addiction to personal development, business, so forth, through my coaching business. Also planting seed to one day collaborate, if not own, my own charity revolving around animal welfare as well as wildlife conservation. And that, in my opinion, or at least from my perspective, will allow me to not only create a larger impact than I would have otherwise had as a vet practicing in a clinical environment and be able to actually save tons and tons and tons of animals, as well as, well, allow them to have the welfare and have the environment that they deserve to be in because of all the things that's going on in the world.
Wow. I love that. I love that mission. I love that drive. So what is your favorite animal?
Silverback gorillas.
The what kind of gorilla?
Silverback.
Silverback?
Yeah,
Oh
silverback.
wow. Yeah. Yeah. I it's funny because I just recently watched just out of random, I watched Rampage, right? With The Rock. And I don't know if that was a silverback gorilla that ended up being like, 100 feet tall or whatever it was, but that just made me think of that. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, I like silverbacks because, well, there's this term that they're like, you can't screw with them. They are the kings of the jungle. I don't care whether you believe it's a lion or a tiger or whatever it is. I believe it's a silverback, and
Yeah.
because they have this aura that gets projected from them. Every single time I go to a safari, go to a zoo, yeah, when a silverback comes up, you just feel it. You just feel it. And I want to be the kind of person who has this aura, who brings this confidence, who brings this vibe to a room as well. And also, silverbacks teaches me to stand up for myself. Back when I was suffering from like social anxiety and when my confidence was like lower than the ground.
Wow. We're gonna go off script here a little bit. I want to ask you about that before we get into questions about your entrepreneur journey. So, um, I've heard many like people introverts. I'm kind of an introvert that have gotten into entrepreneur fields that require you to be an extrovert, right? I think Russell Brunson has talked about it numerous times about being an introvert in an extrovert world. So, can you kind of elaborate on that and like how you came out of your shell or how you manage having social anxiety?
Sure, absolutely. So I would say this is something that didn't really develop until I moved from Hong Kong to the UK because of culture shock, because I was away from family, I was away from like 95% of my friends from Hong Kong, and I just felt lost for a lot of years living in a foreign country. And it reached a point where I like, to be fair, back in high school, I was pretty confident. I have a lot of friends. It was like it actually gets energy from being with people. But along the way, at some point, I'm not sure whether it was because of the pressure of being in vet school or my self-consciousness being like increasing, like I don't know, increasing new levels as I grew up. I became more and more and more of a shell of myself. I just hide. I don't like to speak up, and especially when you are around loud people as well, and when there are a few occasions where you just get told off, you get judged, and you get called a failure, all those things. That's those experiences, bit by bit, just caused me to just hide, and it wasn't really. I didn't really raise awareness of this until I met my first coach, who's a mindset and transformational coach. And he was an introvert. He immigrated from Korea to the UK, experienced similar experiences as I did with social anxiety. And afterwards, I joined his program, and right off the bat, on the first week, he pushed me to do the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, which is to go live on Facebook, walk into a public environment. I chose Tesco's, which is a supermarket in UK, and get 10 public rejections whilst filming myself on a Facebook live stream that my friends were watching. Back then, like it took me 30 minutes, 30 whole minutes sitting in the car to just prime myself and bring myself to do that. But afterwards, I just felt uplifted because I felt alive. I felt alive. I survived the scariest thing that I can never bring myself to do. And back then, that was when I experienced my initial breakthrough. Because confidence, at the end of the day, from what my coach told me back then, was when we're able to perform and show up in the absence of self-consciousness. And I started to just just care less about what other people think of me. I care more about me being able to express my point of view whilst letting go of my fear of judgment. Because hey, we're living in a society where everyone's going to be judged. Social media is, well, a double-edged sword, and the way you use it, the way you leverage it, really determines how you're able to succeed, especially as an entrepreneur. So yeah, that's my journey, and I never look back. And if you speak with me 5 years ago and tell me that, Michael, today I'm going to be going live regularly, filming podcasts, showing up as an entrepreneur online, I would have told you that you're crazy.
Yeah,
That's
I
just
think
how.
I think
That's just
I've even seen where you've spoken in front of groups, right?
yeah. I regularly speak in front of groups. I have my own group, and I speak with other groups as well.
Wow, yeah. And one thing that comes to mind when you were talking about this is that if you're an entrepreneur that wants to scale up, there's always going to be people ahead of you, and that might intimidate you a little bit, and that might cause a little social anxiety. Just expect that, because you're if you want to scale up, that's going to happen, because the people, if you're as you're catching up to the people ahead of you, there you're going to feel a little bit of that pressure of wow, yeah, so that's just my take on it, because if you want to scale up, it's all about getting out of your comfort zone, right? Which you did really, really well. And it has grown you as a person, which is awesome.
Absolutely. And here is something that really served me back then, which is to uh, just confront your inner demons, because there's a lot of experiences that I had that conditioned me to be quiet, to be scared of conflict, to be scared to be judged, and to be scared of failure, all those things. And it wasn't until I was able to shift my perspective around those fears that allowed me to actually step into the best version of myself, which is what is necessary for me to grow. And one thing that a mentor of mine said that really resonated with me is this single message: courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is our ability to act in spite of fear. Fear is always going to be there, whether it be with fear of judgments, fear of failure, or whatever it is. And if we're able to actually allow ourselves to confront and still act in spite of our fears, because of our drive to succeed or because of our vision being bigger than ourselves, then that is what allows us to be pulled forwards no matter what we face. And yeah, as you said, as you gain followers, 100, 1,000, 100,000, as you go, there's bound to be haters. But I made it
Yeah.
very clear, when I show up for my audiences, I have one motto: they can either hate me or they can love me, but they can't ignore me.
That's a good motto to have. That is awesome. So let's dive into your actual journey as an entrepreneur now. Tell us about your journey up to this point. I know there's probably going to be some stuff about coming out of veterinary school, and what inspired you to go from where you were to becoming an entrepreneur.
Sure. So back then, from as a background, like I know no one, like no one from my peer group or from my family is an entrepreneur. Both of my parents are on corporate ladder, and I didn't really explore entrepreneurship until around 3, 4 years into my own personal development journey. A lot of people believe that entrepreneurship is the next phase of personal growth, and I truly believe that because I went through that journey. 18 years old, I just started reading books. I started watching YouTube channels, following like all the personal development gurus like Tony Robbins. And afterwards, it wasn't until I was I started reading books like Think and Grow Rich, Rich and Poor Dad, T Half Actresses, Millionaire Mind, and so forth. And it was then that I gained vision, and it was then that the entrepreneur fire really lit up within me. And I started doing some e-commerce, some Amazon FBA, some retail arbitrage, those things whilst managing my studies and work placements as a veterinary surgeon. A veterinary a vet school student back then when I was 3 years into the course. And afterwards, the more I dive into this rabbit hole called entrepreneurship back then, the more I got addicted to it because not only was I able to, well, just live like just create a business and do whatever I want without being constricted, without being told what to do. I was also able to apply my lessons from personal development in a more direct manner. And that allowed me to just like, I can't really put into words that feeling that it's just this excitement, this enthusiasm that I felt back then was something that I never ever experienced before. But then that's when I kind of go downhill as well. That brought me to the fourth and fifth year of my vet course, where things really got intense. I was managing a basketball team back then. I was balancing a 50-hour per week work placement, plus my studies, plus also trying to keep my business alive. And that was when I suffered from a lot of overwhelm and eventual burnout, to the point where one day when I was driving back home from a job interview on my final year as a vet student, I dozed off at the wheel,
Ooh.
going 80 miles per hour on a highway. And right before I was about to rear end the car in front of me, somehow I managed to step awake and just swerved to the other lane, missing car by inches. Like that put me in shock.
Wow.
That put me in shock. And that night, I just, yeah, like I just sat in the car driving in a front porch of my flat. And back then I just thought, I just I just told myself, hey, Michael, how did you even reach this place? Why did things go so wrong to the point where you almost killed yourself just because of you wanting to achieve X, Y, Z and hold yourself up to all these expectations that you have from being a vet student, an entrepreneur, and everything in between. And back then, I made a commitment to never ever allow my pursuit to higher achievement or my pursuit to success to come in the expense of my own well-being or the well-being of other people who are within my sphere of influence. And that led me to double down onto the field in personal development that revolves around high performance and productivity. And that eventually led me to what I do right now, because along the journey, I just met more and more and more entrepreneurs like me who who kind of cause like allow their business to put their life out of harmony or balance, whatever you like to call it. And I know that this is some like the reason why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing right now is because I know that we are like when we incorporated our LLCs, our LTDs, we probably did not set out to build a life where we are working 60, 80, 100 hours per week and allow our business to eat into other areas of our lives, from our health, our well-being, our relationships, and cause our business to really come in the expense of all the experiences that we can have from being an entrepreneur. So yeah, that's my entrepreneurship journey in a nutshell. And I've been coaching people since I think it was 2018. Yeah, 2018. So it's been 3 years now. Yeah.
Wow. Can you talk a little bit? You touched on a little bit, but can you talk a little bit more maybe about some obstacles that you've encountered on your entrepreneur journey and how you overcame those?
Sure. So some of the main obstacles, first of all, really comes from internal, because as entrepreneurs, you are in a sense like mad scientist, especially if you are doing your own marketing, and you have to take risk. And one of the biggest obstacles that I had to face was my fear of failure. Because as a vet, what happens if you fail? You might kill an animal, life might get lost. But as an entrepreneur, you have to fail. And the faster you fail, you get feedback and the faster you're able to grow. And that obstacle just stuck with me for so long because whenever I made an investment that didn't work out, whenever a plan got sidetracked from entrepreneur journey, I immediately get buried in a ball of stress and anxiety. And it wasn't until I was able to reconfront that through a lot of introspection and with working with a coach. It was not until then was I able to actually accept failure as part of the journey. And this is a requirement you cannot really get anywhere with a failing along the way. That's just how it is. And so that was one of my biggest obstacles. And the second biggest obstacle that I had was just me managing my own expectations because I'm sure you and your audiences have experienced this at some point as well. When we came into this entrepreneurial world, we think that entrepreneurship involves buying a course, reading a few books, watching some YouTube videos, following some step-by-step blueprints, and next thing you know, a few months after, you're at six figures or at seven figures. And I was
doesn't
again,
usually happen like that.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't happen like that. And the deeper I fall, like the further along I go in my entrepreneur journey, the more I learn to manage my own expectations. As in, what's this going to cost? How can I set accurate goals rather than just be shooting for a moon? And how can I really manage my expectations to a point where I don't feel as if I am not enough, inadequate, or feeling as if I am playing the catch-up game all the time. And this one practice really changed everything for me. As in, before I look at my goals and look at how far do I need to go, I look back and first honor the progress I've made and look at how far I've already come. And just with this, just by gaining perspective, I was able to just let go of this feeling of being not enough and really accept the whole journey as a journey itself rather than just me chasing a destination after destination. Because what happens when you reach a new peak, a new summit, you immediately arrive at the bottom of another higher mountain. So this is something that I learned from the journey as I went from as I gained higher lows and higher highs of my business.
Yeah. What happened for me is like when you reach, like what you're saying, when you reach a certain level, you kind of normalize it, right? And you have to really go back to your previous self and think about where you were to really appreciate where you've gotten to, because you've gotten comfortable and you kind of normalize that success. So then it's on to the next level of success. And I think a lot of high achievers have that issue, is where they feel that anxiety if they're still not to where they want to go. But there's never really to me, there's never really an end destination. It's just another step up, right? So
Exactly.
that awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So tell us about, well, sorry, I have another question. What have you done that you think has moved your business forward the most?
Prioritize my environment.
Mm.
Prioritize my environments. I don't care whether people think my answer should be a shiny tactic or a special strategy when it comes to marketing or sales, but the more I grow, the more I honor the importance of being in the right environment. Especially for me, like no one around the circle that I grew up with is an entrepreneur. I wasn't even able to fathom the prospect of earning more than 10K per month until like a few years back. And yeah, just being with people who been there, done that, and are thinking and acting and behaving at a new level, that is what really allowed me to step into the person who I am today. And I am still a part of a lot of high level masterminds where I am networking with a lot of entrepreneurs, yourself included. And yeah, just building this environment around me that allows me to grow to new levels is what really changed everything for me. Because I I am truly, I truly believe this. A weak person in a strong environment will outcompete a strong person in a weak environment as long as you give that person enough time. As Jim Rohn once said, I, I believe it was Jim Rohn, like my brain just blanked up for a bit, but you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most.
Mhm.
And I didn't really believe that at first, but the more I immerse myself into different environments, network with expanding my network of 6, 7, even 8 figure entrepreneurs, these people really allowed me to gain perspective, a new level of thinking, and that is what really allowed me to execute the strategies and tactics that I learned at a high level. And yeah, I know it's a long way to answer, but
No,
I
no,
just
I love it.
on it
Makes
on.
me also think of Napoleon Hill and how his ideas on Mastermind, and he referenced like the Henry Fords and the Thomas Edisons, to use American figures, that they would collaborate, and the idea of having those type of people around you that are all striving for the same type of goals and have the same mindsets is super super powerful. So awesome, yeah, great answer. So with that being said, tell us a little bit about your vision for your business and where you want to go.
Awesome. So right now in the business, I am currently mainly doing private coaching and group coaching with my clients who are mainly in the service-based industry, as in coaches, consultants, service providers, contractors, and agency owners, because these people I have to actually dedicate their time to fulfill their clients as well. And I understand how important it is for us to manage both client acquisition as well as client fulfillment, as well as our team to make sure that the team they're able to grow without the business eating them alive. So right now, that's what I'm focusing on. But over a long term, I want to expand productivity and performance to be the business that starts the movement to go against the social the social norm. I would say this, or I wouldn't even call this a social norm, this pandemic, this modern society where we glorify people who work 60, 70, 80 hours per week and sleep under their work desk. I want to start a movement whereby we are able to shift this false belief on our productivity. When productivity is done right, we should not be rewarded with more work and more work hours and just to work faster. When productivity is done right, we should experience a new sense of freedom and have the freedom to not only focus on our mission, but also have freedom to enjoy the time that we have being unproductive, aka just living the life with the people that who matter to us most. And that will bring me to a vision of me not only coaching entrepreneurs, but also coaching maybe like taking on corporate clients and just spread this message where we are able to achieve what we want without having the price being us sacrificing our well-being, our family, or our relationship, or our health. So that's my vision for the company. And if I'm able to leave a legacy as I leave this world, having impacted a million, 10 million, a billion lives who are high achieving, then yeah, I would say that would be a life well lived in my point of view.
Awesome. Yeah. It should be much more, like you said, much more about a life worth living. That you can grow an amazing business, but you don't want to grow amazing business in spite of everything else. And the rest of your life is just terrible. So yeah, I
Exactly.
love that. I love your vision, man. So uh, Michael Yeung is here, and he's also going to share some entrepreneur secrets with us. So he's going to let us in on a little bit of his expertise and what has helped him strive as an entrepreneur. So I have a few questions around that, Michael. I know you're big on the work-life balance. So tell us your perspective on nonstop hustling versus working smart.
Cool. I love this. I love this. So I would say hard work is essential. Nothing can replace a strong work ethic, but there is a point where we have to distinguish the difference between working hard physically and working hard mentally. A lot of people, the reason why they hustle, and end up spinning their wheels is because they are working out physically, but not intellectually, as in they treat themselves as factory workers or someone with an employee's mindset where you get paid by the hour. But as entrepreneurs, we get paid by our ability to solve problems. And that, that requires a very sharp mind. And one thing that we have to realize is this thing called diminishing returns.
Mhm.
I've read a lot of journals, a lot of research articles around productivity and performance psychology. And here's what I've noticed. Once someone works beyond their mental capacity, that normally revolves around the range of 45 to 55 hours per week. Once you cross that, your level of productivity just plummets because of diminishing returns. And because of this, a person working a healthy 40 hours per week who is able to manage his productivity, his focus, and be able to actually make strategic decisions will outproduce someone who's working 80 hours per week, who is experiencing energy slumps, who isn't able to think straight, and who isn't able to really make the right decisions. And that really allows us to draw a fine line between hustling and working smart. Yes, you need to work hard, you need to make the right decisions, you need to have a strong work ethic and an ambitious drive to grow. But at the same time, you cannot just push without stopping, detaching yourself from being in a research business and actually think. I would say thinking time is what allows us to experience true growth. It is where we are able to actually audit our business, audit our actions, our routines, and ask ourselves what is working in our business and what is not working in our business. So we can make fact, data-driven decisions on what to keep doing, start doing, and what to stop doing. And that is what allows us to exponentially increase our return on time invested over time rather than to keep on trading our money for time and repeating the same actions just for marginal gains as we increase our work hours.
That is some powerful stuff. So I have another question for you. What do you feel the reason many coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs seem to get stuck in their progress, or they're progressing slowly versus someone else who seems to be progressing more quickly? What do you think the difference is?
I would say there's a lot of reasons, but one thing that's just appeared in my mind would be their ability to stick to simplicity. Because so many people tend to just go down a rabbit hole and try to do everything at once. One day they're doing a Facebook group, other day they're on TikTok. Next thing comes in, Clubhouse gets created and they're on Clubhouse, and then suddenly like they are in this niche and they think that the other niche is going to be more profitable and they hold to that niche and they are in this perpetual cycle thinking that the grass is always greener on the other side. But as you know, the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is green where you water them. And just with this lack of focus and this overcomplication of the business, this is what I believe is the main cause of an entrepreneur. That's a part of coach who is growing slowly versus a coach who is able to grow exponentially over time. Because as you know, as you might have realized, the industry leaders out there, they are not known for a gazillion different things. They are known for doing the right thing again and again and again until they just break through to new levels again and just scale up the same thing that made things work until they're at 7 or 8 figures. So yeah, I would say just that simplicity, that focus, that prioritization, that is the main difference maker for entrepreneurs and coaches out there.
I totally agree. Can you give us a sneaky good marketing strategy that you have used?
Sure. So I would say, or as you and your audiences might notice, marketing really comes back down to experimentation. Even the best marketers out there will not be able to tell you that this ad on the first try is going to be a big hitter. So here's my biggest tip for you and your audiences, which is to reverse engineer your last 10 sales. If you hop onto sales calls, look back at that recording. What did that person tell you? What are their problems, their cost of inaction, their desires, their outcomes, and what is a solution that makes them see you and your services as the solution that bridges the gap between their problem and the desire. Because the best way for you to know what your audiences want is to listen to your audiences and just tell them what they want straight from the horse's mouth. So if you're able to just reverse engineer the steps that your last 10 clients took, what what made, how did you first cross paths? How did you make the first part connection? What post, what piece of content allowed them to start engaging with you? What really got discussed in your sales call or your messaging conversation or whatever medium of communication that you went through? And what was conveyed from the bottom of their hearts? Once you're able to get that message dialed in and recognize the commonalities amongst those 10 clients, you would end up with a set of what I call validated messages where you can push out to the world knowing that it's going to work because there's more of where that came from. If this message landed you 5, 10 clients, 20 clients, then the chances are this message will land you even more clients over long term, as long as you know exactly what they share with you and raise awareness of that and articulate their problems better than they do themselves.
And that is some gold right there. Thank you so much for sharing that with the audience. Michael, tell everyone how they can reach out to you, and also tell them more about your business and what you offer and how they can reach out to you.
Sure. So if you want to reach out to me, you can simply find me at Michael Yeung, Michael. My surname is spelled Yeung. On Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. My Instagram handle is real Michael Yeung. My LinkedIn profile, I believe it's Michael Yeung Coaching. And my Facebook, you can search up my page, Productivity and Performance, and you will find me on social media. And for my website, you can find me at www.productivityandperformance.net, productivityandperformance.net. And that is simply a landing page. I keep things simple. I don't really have a real website because I don't really like websites, and you can join a group that way. And one thing that I can offer to you right off the bat for free is my community. As I said before, I am big on environment and productivity, and the Productivity and Performance Facebook group has one mission: to bring together the best coaches, consultants, agency owners, and service providers out there to grow as a whole and to start this movement for us to unlock the power of addition by subtraction so that we can scale up our impact, income, and influence while scaling down our work hours. So that's my front-end offer for you, completely for free. We host live trainings there, and we post regular value-driven resources for you guys. And if you want to go to the next step, all you do is to contact Doug or contact me through any one of my channels and simply apply for a free strategy call with me, where we can dive deep with your business. It's going to be the most worthwhile 45 minutes in your life, I promise. And if we believe that we're great fits, then we can invite you to become one of our private clients to come on board our Elite Performance Program Mastermind, which is our core offer, where you will receive private coaching from me, and we can simply go down a path that's customized for your specific business, the lifestyle that you want to live, and exponentially increase the return on time invested so that you can create the business that you want, create the impact that you want, whilst also experiencing the time freedom that you want. And we do this with a high level set of methodologies revolving around high performance and business. So yeah, that's what I have to offer.
Awesome. I'm going to actually put that link underneath in the Entrepreneur Journey group. The link to your group will be underneath this video, so they can go right and join the group there. And I highly, highly encourage everyone watching this video to go join that group, get in contact with Michael. Michael, I think you're a member of Entrepreneur Journey. If not, I would like you to be an Entrepreneur Journey, and you could, if he is a member, you can search him in the members and reach out to him that way as well. So it has been great having you on the show. There has been so much value shared. This has been an amazing interview with the Entrepreneur Journey, and then the Entrepreneur Secrets has been also amazing. So I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for being on the Entrepreneur Journey today.
Thanks for having me. And yeah, I hope your audiences are able to get some gold nuggets from our session today. And let's keep winning onwards and upwards.
That's right. Bye, everyone.